Shaming yourself while eating does not make the food healthier. Let me say this again. Shaming yourself while eating, it is not going to have the effect that you think it's going to have. Like for the longest, I used to think that my issue with food was because of limited willpower. Like, if I tried harder, if I was more disciplined, if I stopped eating like the bad food, you know, then I'll feel more in control. But what I didn't realize was I was putting my body in stress every time I labeled a certain food as bad. And when your body is stressed, it does the opposite of what you want. It starts to crave more, it starts to binge eat. You feel out of control, and this is not because you're weak. This is just simply because your nervous system does not feel safe. And so here's the truth that most people don't talk about. It's not that food is the problem. It is the story you have around the food that you're eating. The moment you're about to eat and you think, oh my gosh, this is bad. I'm ruining everything. I have to start all over again. I shouldn't be eating this. Your body, logically in your head, you think that by doing that, I guess, I don't know. In our heads, we think that is going to force us into discipline, but instead, your body registers that as a threat. And when your body feels unsafe, your nervous system, when it feels unsafe, digestion only worsens, cravings increase, you feel really disconnected from your body, so you can't even tell the cue when it's like, all right, we've had enough. And you're more likely to just, again, keep eating, not because you want to, but because right now you're dysregulated, and food is how your body has chosen to regulate itself. So let's say you have like two people eating a pizza. One person is present, person A is present, they're just eating and enjoying the food in front of them. They don't really have any stories attached to it. They just in the moment, they're calm, enjoying all the different like bursting flavors. And then you have person two, you know, person B. They're spiraling. They're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? I shouldn't be eating with this. And when you're in that state, you're already creating your body. Once your body receives that message that you're telling your that's going on in your brain, your body processes that as stress. And so you see how two people, different people, same food, but different nervous system states. And you know who do you think is going to end up overeating and binging on that food? The person who is eating it from a state of calmness and presence versus the person that is spiraling into your head. And guess what? Like I said, when you stress, if you're someone that uses food to regulate itself, you're only going to keep eating. So while you're increasing stress in your body as you're eating, your body is now reaching for the pizza, more and more pizza, to help meet whatever triggered, help regulate your body in real time. And so that ends up in this vicious cycle of like, shame, guilt while you're eating and stuff like that. And then um binge unconsciously. And then you go back again to like feeling guilty and all this stuff. And then It puts you, even if you're able to be disciplined, that discipline after a while is gonna run out if all you're doing is here and self filled with self judgment and shame and guilt. So you see, like that spiral just continues a vicious cycle, which in our heads we would think like shame, because when we grew up, also part of it too is like growing up, um if we were doing something that was seen as like bad, they would shame us into, our parents will probably like shame us and try to force us to, behave correctly. At least for me, I know that pattern comes from there, where if I'm not eating like what I'm supposed to be eating, um, or being a good girl, I'm gonna go through, I have to shame myself. And I'm learning that the shame only puts me in a bigger hole versus being um, a little bit more observant. But this is why, you know, in my work, I like to teach something very simple, where it's to start this process. For me, it's like a lot of the reasons we're dysregulated is because your body is missing a specific state. Like if your body's truly not hungry, a lot of the times hunger can present itself as something different, like an emotional need. So what I like to do is, before I eat any meal, I say like regulate first. Notice what's going on in my body. First, check in with your body. Like, how do I feel right now? Am I anxious? Am I tired? You know, I eat, and then if I notice I'm like numb, anxious, I'm not calm or relaxed, I, do some deep breath, like 3 to 5 of them, nothing to be too complicated, and regulate myself. Then I eat, regardless of whether it's like healthy or not healthy. I just try to regulate myself first. Then I eat. And then, you know, while I'm eating, especially if I'm still dysregulated after while I'm eating, if you notice the thoughts coming up, like, oh, this is bad, tune back to your senses. What are you smelling? What are you tasting? How does it feel? The texture filling your mouth or in your hand. Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it spicy? Like, busy your mind, like involve your senses into the food, so that it can even put like the stories on the back burner. This is not to like bypass anything, it's just to force you to help. First is to not force, but it's to help you get out of that vicious cycle of like, as you're eating, you're talking so much shit about yourself. And also, the more present you are with your food, the easier it is for you to even know when you are satisfied. If you're someone that likes to even like be distracted while you eat, I would say this is something that you can start with, at least one meal, to just be present while you're eating and notice how the food makes you feel. Um, notice, sorry, notice, yeah, notice how you feel in your body. Notice, notice any especially if after, notice how the meal makes you feel after. And you know and so what I have realized is that when it comes in terms of like stress eating, it's definitely not because you're crazy or me or I'm crazy. It's just that a lot of us learn to use food to regulate when, there's discomfort, you feel um, nostalgia, you feel relief, you feel lonely, um, you feel overwhelmed. And food has just become that way to help you feel something. And so that doesn't make you weak, that just makes you human. And the goal is to, instead of obsessing on like, what should I eat? Start asking, how am I entering this meal? Am I anxious? Am I numb? Am I rushed? And, what you will notice over time is because, you've trained yourself to be aware of the state you're in, your eating habits naturally like changes. Um, or over time you start choosing more nourishing food because you're forcing yourself, but because your body prefers how it feels, and that's why I say like before, during, and after, it can be like a mental or something you actually journal. Instead of tracking calories, you can track your state, so you can, you know irrespective of the type of food that's in front of you, notice what state you're entering, notice how you feel during, and then after a few like hours later or whenever you are calm, especially if you ate the meal and you couldn't regulate yourself while you were eating it, you go back and reflect and figure out like what did I what caused this, what caused me to go in a state, and like what can I do in the future when I am, you know triggered or just find myself dysregulated, I'm reaching out for food. That will help you gain more curiosity around why you do the things you do, versus trying to like attack yourself and like approaching it from a place of like, what's wrong with me? I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough to be disciplined. And, you know, if things don't go perfectly, it's like ruin. Like, my goal here isn't to make you eat perfectly. My goal is to help you become someone that feels at home in your body, eats, knows when enough is enough. You can be like those two. The example I gave earlier with the pizza, um you would notice a lot of times people who even approach food from a calm state, their body just knows how to, get rid of waste better, processes food better, versus someone else who is entering that place in a constant state of stress. And when your body's stressed, it's in protective mode. And protective mode for the body means let's hold on to as much fat as possible because we don't know. It doesn't think logically the way the brain logically does. It's just for some people, the way their body deals with stress is by holding on to extra fat. And so that's why sometimes you will see people, you know, eat the same diet and one doesn't necessarily work for the others. Of course, there's other things um, that plays a role into that. But one thing I feel like that is overtly underrated is being able to being able to be aware of like what's going on in your body, especially as you go through this journey of weight loss. I feel like nervous system is the missing link as to why some people information is not enough for them to be able to carry out these habits. Is now for you to let your body the more you check in with your body, the more your body will communicate with you. So let your body tell you what it needs. Let your body tell you it's full. And like some people have a really hard time knowing when they're full. because they're so disconnected from your body. But when you get in the habit of like really, really checking in your body, like what's going on right now, you're gonna start to notice what your body naturally reaches for when it's under a certain state. Like if it needs something. Um, like for me, I know, like I've noticed these things have been pivotal for me, and like something so simple but yet it's not easy. I'll keep saying that. All these tips I'm giving, they seem so simple, but my goodness, yeah, becoming the type of woman where your body becomes a place that you can actually live in peacefully and not constantly punishing yourself because maybe today you just weren't prepared enough. You did meal prep, so you had the pizza. And now I'm not saying that you should be eating pizza all the time. I'm just saying if you're gonna have the food, the least you can do is help your body by entering that meal in a relaxed state, because you're making it double, you're giving your body double the work to be able to move that food through your body, healthy or not healthy. Even when you are eating healthy food, if you are if you notice resistance in your body, like because sometimes through our body will associate, if you were forcing yourself this entire time to eat healthier, and you always meet your body with a lot of resistance, like maybe take a second to like try to regulate yourself and let your body know that it is safe, signal that it is safe to consume this. You're not doing this to punish yourself because you ate a pizza the other day, but you're doing this because you're nourishing yourself, But, anyways, my whole point is just be present with your meal so that whatever food noise is going on in the background, you can lower it down. So, put your phone down, um, turn off the TV, whether it's for breakfast or dinner, be with your food. Make it a meditation. It is meditation, mindful exercise, mindful activity. And, just start with one meal and see where that takes you. The goal is to, you know, again, help you lose weight, but from a regulated state. So, um, if you're on this journey of healing your relationship with food and your body, you're not alone here. And so make sure to subscribe because we're only going to keep going deeper into this topic.